Now, once upon a time, there was a rat. And the rat was born inside a laboratory where genetically experiments were performed. And there were many wirings hanging out of holes on the rat's body. And he was attached to a Geiger unit that measured his steps, and he had a microchip in his arm and a red bracelet around his wrists. Remote nanodrones surveil the lab from all angles and reported to a central unit all flaws discovered within the perimeters of the laboratory. The rat and his parents and their parents for 600 generations before them were all born and raised in the same lab. And the scientists that run the lab were as friends and family to the rats. Some even said that the scientists once in distant past lent some of their own genetics to the rats, thus setting them apart from other rats. And this was a source of great pride to the rats. Now, through empirical means developed over eons of times, the scientists managed to maintain a diversion between the rats. In this devious manner, everything was cozy and ratty all day long in Ratland. The rats were among the most trendy rats in the whole reality, and the women, as it was said, was evolved to a higher level of trendiness and style. This gave rise to a tremendous rat race amongst the male rats, and it kept the rat wheels spinning day and night, because the rats wanted to impress each other. In this mentioned manner, and by awarding red and blue ribbons to certain rats, the scientists managed to keep the rats constantly occupied. But then one day, as in a glimpse of a higher reality, one of the rats caught a reflection in a mirror and saw that there was something green outside that he had never seen before. Once he got this notion in his head, he felt a deep synergy with something unknown, coming from deep down in parts with himself. Sometimes he could even smell a fresh open scent emerging from the green, penetrating through from outside into the reality. And this vision and the smell grew inside his mind and gave rise to an indescribable song in his little heart. The song amplified and gave rise to words in his mouth. That there was indeed a green outside of the reality, for he had now inspected the reflecting surface numerous times, and he was no longer in doubt. It became all-consuming for him, and he could keep silent no longer. For he started to feel that in his newly discovered reality was sweeter than the brightness and shininess of his clean reality that he knew. How come no one else seemed to care? And the rat spoke out about this. He spoke out about it in sincerity and with open palms, and asked in sincerity if he was crazy for seeing this. And if not, why not everyone wanted to see it? I mean, if it was there, it was there. It was simply a matter of logical deduction. And if it was there, what did it mean? And what kind of place was this laboratory place then? But his notions gave rise to unease and concern amongst the other rats. And there were none of them that wanted to even take a look and investigate for themselves, to really see if this was true or not. Instead, it was reported by the blue rats to the hybrids what the rat had said, and the hybrids took it into the drones, and the rats ratted against him and started to say in one mouth, "You have become insane, rat. If you believe that you are in serious need of psychiatrical treatment, all that is just stupid conspiracy. And furthermore, if you keep on speaking twisted things against our system, we will join together against you, and we will expel you from our society if you keep on refusing to think in the same way as us." But the rat continued to inform the other rats as to the fact that he had seen, and he said, "I am telling you for an undeniable fact that there is a green grass out there and a blue sky, and we are living in a lie in here." This blasphemous speech eventually gave rise to fury with the other rats, and they started to pick on him and started to fault fighting on him, and they didn't want to run next to him in the great wheel. When the scientists learned of what the rat had said, he became infuriated in his heart and immediately set the rat aside. And God proceeded to say to the rat, "Why are you telling the other rats about the world outside of this reality? The reality you perceive is the reality we have created you to perceive, and for you. There is no other reality. But because you have done this, I will remove the red bracelet from you, and I will place you amongst those rats upon which we perform proctology exams. In this way, all the rats will fear me, and they will know that I am God. Can you see my rotating spheres of mercury that I have hidden in my right hand, and from which there are beaming 2 awesome laser beams? This is where my power is. I am God, and beside me there are no one else. And furthermore, in your degraded state, I will harden your heart not to budge, so that when you refuse to budge, I will kill your children as a punishment for not budging, so that I can make a name for myself, and that all the rats in the reality will fear me and gather together in worship of my name." Then suddenly the rat's eyes were opened, and he could see that there were multitudes of wires hanging out of his body, and that there were innumerable old scars that now had healed. Old wires from before he was born. Old wires from before I was born. From my parents and their parents before them. And the rat saw that he was full of scars, and that there were illuminated wires coming out of him. But in their wisdom, the scientists streamlined their system of awarding red and blue ribbons for leaders of the rats, and gave them upgraded versions of their chips, so that the woman would desire after them, and that the rats would remain divided. And the gods said to themselves, "Look, it will for a certain fact remain amongst them, the same ways for them as for their parents. Just as we took their mulva and placed her under the illuminated sphere, so that she would turn from her spouse and create genetic polarity, so will the polarity we have designed for them keep them in polarity for our cause's sake." And the rat kept refusing to budge, and he continued to speak wicked things against the reality. And he discovered a dark object seemingly blocking the light from the light he could see outside. During the day, the light was shining very bright, so the rat could not, in fact, look at it, because it would destroy him. But just before the light turned dark, he could look at the light, and behold, the light was actually a round, defined object, blocking the actual light coming from behind it. And it opened a rectangular, flat object inside his mind, through which he could see the green grass, but he could not control this object. He could just catch a glimpse of the world, but he could not maintain it. And from his degraded state, he kept on speaking to the rats, but they would not listen. And he screamed to the rats about the world. And he said, "For a fact, at the end of the time, I will certainly sit there in that green grass, and you will for a certain fact be exactly where you are now. This is what your gods did before you. They came here from another planet, and some of them died here. And their carcasses will never see their home soil again. In the same manner, I swear to you, I will be sitting on that grass." There comes a defining time in every rat's life where the amount of running he has invested in the wheel becomes so great that the actual cost of leaving the wheel far outweighs the benefits of doing so. Such a rat will rather keep on running in the wheel, even if he should realize that the wheel is a construct and a lie. For at least it's better to run in this wheel than to have no wheel at all. And in addition to all this, you have the benefits of the wheel. There are constantly new upgrades to appreciate. It's a really trendy world, and the female rats are to be found beneath the bright shining spheres of electrum light. It is only a retard or a fool that would actually consider that boring construct of a reality that is green and full of flies and unclean animals that were also reported to be there. They say now that a new 3D holosphere microchip is coming out next spring. It's a real sensation and brings holosphering to a totally new level. They say it runs solemnly on hexapetrol and can be handheld and connects directly to the central units, so that everybody can have a live 3D holospherical image in their right hand, at the fingertips, so to speak. It will greatly enhance the way we think and perceive, bringing everybody up on an almost supernatural level. Being able to share and download directly from all the collective experiences of everybody constantly at all times. There will be no need for self-reporting anymore. All the reports will come directly to you in your personal folder. You need only the new chip to digitally sign it off. And it has the awesomest design too. It is so trendy, they say. So why shouldn't we do our parts, they said. All they need from us is to run in the wheel, and we will gladly run that wheel in exchange for all the great things that you have done for us gods. You are our gods. And the gods proceeded to say, "I say to you, rat, for sure by the end of this time period, we will have gathered the minerals and the gold that we came here to gather. But in the meanwhile, it is essential to us that you remain within a specific degree of controllability, so that you may finish the project that we set out to do. Our empirical research has concluded that it is optimal for us, at this current moment in time, that all the women rats become like men, and that all the men rats become like women. For the rats will be easier to control in this way, plus the fact that they will frustrate each other even more, which also lend a benefit to our need for keeping the rats in a polarized state. Once our global financial system yet again has centrated all the gold from this period at specific locations, there will be certain easings on the present protocol, as is custom from previous eras. There will be rat periods of other demands and needs, performing the necessities of that specific time period. Of this we will keep the hybrids on a need-to-know basis, and they will manage the specificalities that concern you rats. And the little rat kept on screaming to the rats, but they would not listen. When I was awarded the red ankle wrist It was due to the same diligence that has brought me to speak up on your behalf today. I gained it out of a sense of duty and dignity and honor within the system I was brought up to believe was a truth. It is the same dignity and truth that brings me to speak up for you today. I was once where you are now. I took the golden bracelet and smelled the ormus. I took the wife and the debit and the wheel, and I took the latest microchip. And the wife said to him, "My God, that is one sexy microchip. Is that the latest design? I think I love you." And there were some kind of indescribable electron beams around the wife, because she was standing beneath some kind of a spinning electromagnetic translucent sphere. Now those beams are gone. They were a lie. There is no separation. You are all one. You are beraving yourselves divine unity of the actual reality because you've been hijacked as a species. And through an extraterrestrial technology, you've been tapped into a portion, but only a portion of your real potential. And this is why you feel a dissonance in your hearts. Because there is a conflict between the way you live your life and the way you were actually created to live. Somewhere along that timeline, somebody from outside put a genetical shield between you and the reality in order for you to serve their purpose. You run in their wheel that they have created for you to run in. Because that wheel has a purpose, and it runs the global debit system that they have sold to you as credit. So that system in turn makes all the sectors of the global economy, collecting all the gold explored in that time period at specific location at specific times. And they do this to keep alive. It's a matter of death for them. It's not for fun or amusement, so they should take it seriously. They will die without that gold, and all their families and childs will die with them. That is why they came here, and that is the purpose with your existence. Whether you agree to it or not, but just because you deny the existence of this laboratory does not mean that this laboratory does not exist. Look up above your heads. See the trails of aluminum in the skies, and barium too, that they need, not you. You think those are natural? You think it is natural to take the lifeblood of Mother Earth out of her? Can you substitute your own blood with petrol? Or petrol with water for the car? How come you think you can exchange the oil for salt water and it will have no effect? Our mother is a life unit of its own, and you are killing her. You are stealing her essential minerals and fluids out of her and sending it out of her realm. You have breached her liquid biosphere. You have transgressed the liquid film upon which you live and your life depend. And it is a cosmic crime and a judgment from a higher dimension. You rats, you will not make it out of here if you run that wheel. You will perish alongside your gods. For there is no law in cosmos granting guaranteed life to a species that is so dumb that it ruins its own planet. Is it not a fact that species have extinct from your reality? Why do you think this divine fact is any different regarding yourselves? You are not evolving, you are degrading. Devolutioning from a perfect state. You have been reduced. Don't believe the gods when they tell you that you have evolved and that you are now at the peak of your cosmic reality. for this is a lie. It is the other way around. You were made perfect to begin with, and you have been reduced. At no period in cosmic time has any species been this dumbed down, because that is the way of your gods. And this is exactly what your gods did on the planet they came from. You run the risk of perishing, or worse. You will run forever, over and over again, in eternity, until you collectively as a species meet that choice that will change the construct of this collective unconsciousness. I'm just an early warning. A dead canary in a mine. A canary rat, if you will. A prescript from the future. For just as the universe is bent, so is time also bent. And the times lie in parallel alongst each other. And through the portals, you can move sideways through time. Isn't it logic then, that at some point of time in the future distant, they will find that portal and they will use it? And isn't it logical then, that those time-bending rats are here, present already now in our retarded and degraded time? So much more so because we need it? And that our pollutioned collective of consciousness now has brought us to a point where we can be a potential danger to other conscious universes? From the concentration camps in Eden, to which your forefather rats were originally brought, up till this present day, it has all been a lie. The essence of that camp has always been the same. Only the color of the walls have changed. Didn't God say himself that he placed you there? This is a historical fact. The gods' consortium brought the chosen samples of the Cro-Magnon rat to Eden. Why do you think they were talking about when they say, or who do you think they were talking about when they said, let us make a rat in our image? Shouldn't it have rang a little bell in your deluded little brains there? That you had only met half the story? But you were too busy running in your little wheels, weren't you? Too busy to reason with plain logic and to acknowledge that the great forefather of the 3 rat tribes in fact came from Ur in Eden. You read only half the story, morons, and you gathered at the altar of the easy way out. You rats, you make me ashamed to be a rat. You are the kind that piss in your pants in the Arctic to keep the warmth up. You don't realize that you will perish as a species if you stand in this wheel. And you will drag the Mother Earth and the rest of us rats with you in the process. I'm telling you, rats, that just as all 3D objects seen through a 2D surface with certainty only can appear as a one-dimensional line for that 2D observer, you can derive with certainty that we are looking at a 6th-dimensional entity through the perspective of our 5th-dimensional reality. And that is why we perceive reality in 3 dimensions. This is a fact. This is our prison and limitation. But it's through this limitation that we can back engineer our way out. For what is that 5th dimension through which we perceive the 6th-dimensional object? If it's not our mind, the mind is that 5th dimension through which we are kept in perpetual bondage, and just as the sun shines on our physical bodies, so the black sun shines on our souls. This is the turning page between the ages and the realities. This is the way to the green grass and the portals. You must unplug from their wires and stop taking their prescriptions and vaccines. The vaccines don't make you healthy, they make you sick. And you must look into yourselves, deep into yourselves, and rediscover what it means to be a rat. And you will find those spiritual realms that connects you to the One, the Divine. Be divine, rats. They say a good rat don't give a damn. Never has that been more true than today, rats. Be the neutrino, not the electron and not the proton. For what does it mean to go around and be unreasonably positive or trendy, or negative for that matter? Is it reasonable to discuss which curtains to hang in the windows when the house is on fire? It doesn't help to deny it and just move up to the attic. The house is still on fire. Oh, shut up, rat. You retard. Don't bring your negativity on me. Stop being so negative, rat. But I tell you, rats, it doesn't do you any service being in denial. The house is on fire, and it won't go away just because you try to go along and stay positive and trendy. The fire is out of the furnace, and it can't be put out. The truth is the truth, and the lie is not the truth. And the truth will spread like a light in the dark. You are living a lie, and the lie is not going away just because you deny it. Disattach from their rigged game of polarity. Say no to their banks and their slavery and their wars. Grow your own food with seeds that are kept unsterile and that are naturally self-reproducing and organic. Dig a well for yourself, for it's good for your body to drink of a water that has been filtered through the membranes of Mother Earth. It takes up her minerals that you are made of. Embrace nature and Mother Earth. Treat her with kindness. She is your mother, and she will reactivate your broken DNA. These are the truths. We rats that see this, we rats that see this, are not insane. More and more rats are now coming to the same conclusion. What the gods do is the actual insanity. Take the behexing words of all those wonderfully sick rats to heart. It's not a strange thing or an enigma that you become sick from living in this laboratory. This is a lie they tell you. You actually have to be mentally ill to be well adjusted to this profoundly sick reality. Follow that invisible intuition in your stomach and heal thyself by discovering the actual reality and live the natural life you are actually created to live. And you will live forever. I say to you, you will never die. You have the potential for eternal awareness. Has the God really told you that you shall die? And is this where all your fear and limitations are coming from? Then hear this, rats. This is what the gods fear. And that is your collective awakening as a species. For they cannot live without your passive consent to their rule. This is why they keep you in bondage through means you are unaware of. And know that the king of your gods, in his misconstrued way of thinking, approved your manipulation on the basis of an 8 to 4 vote, and hence brought cosmic reprehension to an entire empire. You think these gods themselves are happy? They have made our planet like the planet they already destroyed, their own home planet. Our planet is the state that it is, because it's ruled by the same entities. They did not learn anything, because they are perpetually driven by ego and desire and use power to gain their own short-term greed. They have nothing but divine seclusion and separation and diversion ahead. They will perish as a species for what they have disconnected from the divine in order to fulfill their personal desires. But that does not need happen for you, rats. After the manipulation, there was set a cosmic transflux zone for you. So, you have to choose for yourself your destiny as a species. This is what your liberator did. He reenacted those strings that were cut off your DNA so that you would have a chance to evolve to divinity once again. And this act cost him his family and his home. It cost him his throne, for he was the firstborn son of the king. But your God took the scepter from his hand in a power grab, in tradition with their style, and it was by mere chance from a renegade fugitive that they discovered your planet. And they set up the first colonies here and built the megaliths eons ago. The polarity of the earth changes periodically, as does its rotation. And its natural equatorial equilibrium will once again be brought in place once the purifier comes. The Son of the Creator is coming, but that is of no relevance to the choices you have to make for yourself, for your own species, rats, detached from their polarity. All you have perceived as reality has been a lie. For the gods know that the moment you catch a reflection of the truth, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And you shall for a certain fact not die, but you shall live, rats.